Today, we're going to dive into a high-stakes case study in leadership. It's a story about how the crushing pressure of war can lead to a single decision, a decision that can unravel an entire kingdom.
I mean, seriously, how do you lose a kingdom? It sounds like the start of some epic legend, but for Israel's very first king, this was a brutal, step-by-step reality, and we're going to trace exactly how he went from the height of power to the absolute brink of collapse.
All right, so here's the scene. Our story kicks off with King Saul. He's the new guy on the throne, and his son Jonathan just made a really bold, some might say reckless, move. He attacked a Philistine outpost. He basically just poked a hornet's nest, and now a regional superpower is furious.
So what does Saul do? He sounds the alarm across the land and gathers an army. And this is his starting number, 3,000 men, called to meet at a place called Gilgal to face whatever's coming. And, 3,000, it sounds like a respectable number, right? But it's what's coming over the hill that changes everything.
Because the Philistines' response wasn't just, proportional. It was completely and terrifyingly overwhelming. This wasn't about sending a message. This was an army designed for one thing: total annihilation.
Just look at this imbalance of power. It's staggering. Israel's got 3,000 foot soldiers. On the other side, the Philistines are rolling in with 3,000 chariots. Think of them as the ancient world's battle tanks, manned by 6,000 elite troops. And believe it or not, that wasn't even the worst of it.
This is how the source material describes the Philistine infantry. That's not just a number. It's a nightmare. It's a poetic way of saying the army was literally uncountable, a massive sweeping tide of soldiers. And you can just imagine the psychological effect this had. It was immediate and devastating.
Saul's army just breaks. It completely evaporates before a single battle is even fought. His men start scattering, hiding in caves and pits and any hole they can find, some desert altogether, just fleeing across the river to get away. And the few who do stick around, they're described as quaking with fear. The war was already lost in their minds. Now, right in the middle of all this chaos, Saul has one very specific divine instruction from the prophet Samuel. He is told, "Go to Gilgal and wait. Wait for 7 days. Don't do anything until Samuel gets there to make an offering to God." I mean, talk about a test of faith at the worst possible moment. You can just feel the pressure cooker heating up each day. Saul holds firm at first, but soon he's just standing there, watching his army melt away before his very eyes. And then the 7th day arrives. The deadline is here, and Samuel, he's a no-show. The pressure on Saul must have been absolutely immense.
So, with the enemy closing in and his army vanishing, Saul makes a choice. He breaks. He panics. In his own words, he felt compelled to do something, anything. He decides he just can't wait any longer, takes matters into his own hands, and performs the sacred offering himself, hoping to rally his men and get God on his side.
And the timing is just brutal. You can't make this up. The text says that just as Saul finished making the offering, right at that moment, Samuel arrives. The king's desperate attempt to take control is immediately met by the very person he was supposed to be waiting for.
And there's no understanding, hey, I get you are under a lot of pressure. Samuel's response is instant and absolute. Saul tries to explain himself, but it means nothing. He broke a direct command, and in Samuel's eyes, that is all that matters. So what's the real cost of this foolish thing?
This is it. This is the big one. It's not a military penalty. It's not a personal fine. It is a dynastic catastrophe. Samuel tells Saul right then and there that because of this single act of disobedience, his family's royal line is over. His kingdom will not endure.
And you can see the immediate tangible cost right here. After Samuel leaves, Saul does a head count. The army that started at over 3,000 men is now just 600. He has lost over 80% of his force without a single battle being fought. But the problem for those last 600 men was even worse than just their numbers. You'd think that's the biggest issue, right? Nope. The real problem was their fundamental ability to even fight back at all.
Get ready for this, because this detail is absolutely staggering. Imagine an entire country with no way to forge metal, no way to make weapons, repair farming tools, nothing. And this wasn't some random economic downturn. This was deliberate. The Philistines had enforced a total arms embargo.
It was a brilliant and, frankly, ruthless policy of subjugation. By monopolizing all the blacksmiths, they made sure Israel could never forge its own swords or spears, keeping their neighbors permanently disarmed and dependent.
The source even gives us the price list. Can you believe that? To get basic farm tools sharpened, Israelites had to go to their Philistine overlords and pay a fee. It just shows you the deep, granular level of control the Philistines had over every aspect of their lives. So, here is the bottom line. On the day of battle, out of that entire remaining army of 600 men, not a single one had a sword or a spear. The only people who were properly armed were King Saul and his son Jonathan. That's it. 2 guys. It's an army in name only. And this is where we're left. Saul has lost his divine mandate, he's lost most of his army, and the nation itself is technologically and militarily helpless. They're facing an enemy that's literally as numerous as the sand on the seashore. It really leaves you with one massive, lingering question. When all seems lost, who on earth can save them now?